there's one thing, I guess, that everybody's always interested in negotiating, and that's pay, isn't it? And that's salary. And so what we've been talking about already is it's always in the way that you pitch it. It's always in the way that, you can convey your needs and wants across to the employer in a way that sounds reasonable. So what are my tips for around that? One of my first tips is don't negotiate in an interview. So you're in a really weak position in an interview to start talking about pay because you haven't been offered the job yet. So you're in a much stronger position if you've been offered the job to negotiate the pay. So what are some things that you can say in an interview if you get asked about what your expectations for money are? And you can say to them, look, I really just, thanks for the question, but I really just want you to evaluate the role and evaluate my qualities and my qualifications, and then just offer what you think is the best fit for all of that. So there are some other tips that I have, and that's really around staying polite and positive, which I think is an obvious one when you're negotiating about pay. Sometimes it's easier over the phone because you can tell people's tone and over the phone, and you can kind of pick up on hidden cues over the phone as well. The problem with that is that you almost, well, for me, I'd like to have it scripted beforehand. I'd like to have some phrases written down that I might say if I'm over the phone and I get stuck for an answer straight away. So if you're made an offer, you can always say, thanks, I just need some time to consider this. A really good excuse almost is you can be really polite and say, look, I just need to take this and discuss it at home. You can always go back and then phrase it in a way that you're adding value to the company. And what's really does help is if you have done a bit of research and gathered some data about what the role should be paid. So a lot of government organizations have their salary ranges online. So honestly, there's just so much information online that you can kind of figure out what the role might be worth. So if, the university, we have all of our pay scales up online, and it makes it quite transparent and easy. And you can kind of look at the role size and look at the responsibilities and think, okay, well, that's what the market data is saying. So if you can go back to the employer and say, well, I've researched this and this is what the market is saying, and I will add this value to the company and I believe that that's fair, then that will give you some stepping stones. If the employer is pretty firm and saying, no, I'm pretty firm on this $20 an hour, and I'm not, I can't budge from it for financial reasons or whatever, what you can say is, hey, can we build something into the contract that says in 6 months' time or in a year's time, we'll review my pay? And actually, can you say in the contract the things that I need to do to meet that new pay rate? So that's kind of an additional thing that you can build in to a contract that actually, and it works as well. If you don't feel comfortable going back and asking for more, you can say, hey, look, I really want to know what the expectations are of me in this role and what a high performing person would look like in this role, and can we build that into the contract, and if I can meet those objectives, then you'll review my pay and increase it in 6 months or a year's time. So that's always an option as well. I think that my last sort of thing I wanted to cover was just around there might be other benefits that the employer is offering. So you just need to value those as well. They might be offering a vehicle, they might be offering extra annual leave, they might be offering to pay for your cell phone, which includes personal calls. So you just need to weigh up the value of all of those things as well. But at the same time, know that that can often be a trick of employers, is they can say to you, look at all these benefits, and then offer you a low rate. So just again, keep if you have that market data to show actually that rate's really, really low, then it doesn't matter if you have all these amazing benefits if actually that rate should be a little bit higher. Yep, so at any time you can negotiate any terms of your employment. And actually, I think your question raises a really good point, and it kind of leads into what I was talking about before, is once you're there and working for 6 months, if there are terms and conditions that actually you think, I need to negotiate something better here, it's at any time you can raise those issues and have those discussions quite informally and say, actually, hey, I thought that this was what the role was going to be, but it's actually a way bigger role, for example, and I think we just need to have a look at what the fair rate is for that and what that role should be paid. Because when it was assessed, it was the smaller role, for example, and now it's bigger, and now I have lots of experience. And so oftentimes in an employment agreement, it might say when the review periods are, but sometimes it won't, and it'll be silent. And some organizations have a yearly review period anyway, some don't. But I guess the message is that at any time, you can raise any term or condition that you want to change. You can raise it and have a discussion about it. The employer doesn't have to agree, but in good faith, they have to have an active discussion with you about it.